So we're going to move on now to client expectations and work-life balance. Joanne, we've all heard a great deal about work-life balance and the challenges of managing the demands of a career, so we're keen to hear your comments. And I'd ask you to start with some strategies that you could offer on managing external client relationships and those expectations.
Yeah, I have to just backtrack a sec to tell you that, as you can tell from Carolyn's question to me and how she called me Joe, we have a relationship outside of here, and I called her and I said, okay, you gave me the really hard one, like that's actually not fair at all. So I will address it. I just want to, before I get there, kind of give a bit of an overview and say that I think it would be helpful if you thought of your career in a long timeline, whether you plan on staying in law, in a firm, in whatever capacity, when you think of some of the things that we're saying, because building your brand does occur early on in your practice, and what you do in that time will allow you the flexibility to, you know, kind of weave in and out at various stages in your career. So, and that gives you some work-life balance. So to give you an example, if you really nail it and you develop something early on that you are known for, then if you need a personal downtime, or you do take some time off to have children, you have a bit of goodwill in the bank that really can carry you forward. And I think that that's critical for men and women, but particularly for women, because we do tend to have obligations outside of the firm that pull us in different directions quite strongly. There are obligations that we don't want to shove away. They're not necessarily working out, not that that's not a great one, but they are things like elder care and child care, et cetera, that really pull us in a way that are challenging to manage and are really, emotional pulls as well as moral obligations. So developing that really early on and having cash in the bank, which I call your goodwill, your name, your brand, whatever you want to say, is really helpful. And that will allow you to manage. In terms of client expectations and managing work-life balance early on, it is a struggle because you don't have ownership of your time right now, but it's not always going to look that way. So also, again, keeping a longer term view of what it looks like is helpful, and figuring out right now who you want to be and what your clients expect. So, we will all, during recruitment, have various statements about whether it's student or associate recruitment about work-life balance. Yes, we can have it. Yes, there is no FaceTime here. The reality is that FaceTime is important for developing relationships, and relationships are all that we're talking about when we talk about business development or anything of that nature. So those things are important to manage relatively early on. If you do have things, though, that you have times that are very important to you that you want to be away and perhaps tune out, then you need to develop some backup plans, which can be having your assistant respond to an email saying, you're out of the office right now, but you will get back within X hours. But you need to know what your client's expectations are, internal or external, in order to make that workable. So the news is so-so in terms of good, not good, and I think you all know that. We are in a service business in a downturned economy. So at the best of times, the service business is demanding, and this time, if you don't step up, somebody else might. So really figure out who you want to be and what you want to be known as. And despite Mary's saying that being dependable was not necessarily great, I think in your early years, that is a really good thing to be known as. Somebody who gets it done with the minimal amount of work and management is really important. When you think of who you want to be around, they're people who give more than they take from you and just get it done so it's off your head, be it internal or external clients. So however you can manage that, be it remotely, be it with somebody else stepping in and delivering something for you, I think in my heart of hearts that you do have to manage it and you do have to respond relatively quickly. People just expect it by now. There really isn't that much of a time that you can turn off.
So is the word balance alive?
It's balance in different, that was mean, Mary.
I know.
It's balance, no, I actually don't, I've thought about this a lot, and I think you can have balance at different times. Can you tell me that I will have balance every day? Absolutely not. Will I have it every week? Possibly not either. But I can in a period of time that, you know, to the rest of the world may not be a normal timeline, I get that. You can have balance. You carve it out, so you work your butt off and you get it done. And then, you know, you do take some time and carve that out for yourself, but it's not every day.
Yeah.
And it's still not for us. For, you know, I also don't want to paint a picture that, you know, we've kind of taken ourselves out of the practice loop. Professional development and recruiting is, you know, I would say the hours are quite strenuous at times. There are different pressures and different responsibilities. I think most of us, I don't know that we went to the other side because of hours. It was more because of skill set, quite frankly. And that desire, like Mary said, to be the helper and to build everybody else up, that doesn't serve you well in your career as a lawyer necessarily, but it serves you very well in this role.
Yeah, and I think it's being resilient too, don't you think?
Yeah,
That
for sure.
In the end, you know, if you like what you do, and you like the people you work with, that's where you get your strength through the busy times. If you don't have those, then that's not good, because you have to have, like, you need to get from the team. And the other thing is, okay, so I'm feeling very controversial today. I think you also have to look sometimes about your outside relationships and whether they're helpful or taking away. Because I'll tell you, if you're working hard and you're trying your best and you're trying to manage things, the people you're friends with or in a relationship with can really help you or hurt you. Because if you're just felt guilty and you're feeling this and you're feeling that, it can take so much out of you. It's really difficult. Now, you can tell I have a high maintenance husband and kids, but anyway, but who's a partner in a firm? So we get it. We kind of get the life. But I really think that's important, and I think working on that, on even developing that kind of strength and support in your relationships outside of work is really important, because then you'll be happy. And that's part of the key to this, is to everything kind of work in harmony. Trying to swim upstream is very, very, very lonely and difficult.
And I just want to underscore, I think, a theme that started to come through, but I think it's one of the most important things is that your career is very long. And my perception of different generations, and I say this as somebody who has a 23-year-old and a 27-year-old, so I get it, is that your time frames tend to be rather restricted. And you don't tend to look at things over, say, a 5-year time frame. You tend to look at things over a 3-month time frame. And Joanne's absolutely right. In any given 3-month period, you might be stressed, and you might not have balance in your life, and you might be dealing with an awful lot of pressures. But that's 3 months, you know, and if you are playing a longer game, then you will look at it in that context. And an analogy that I've started using, because I like it, is billiards. And if you play pool or billiards at all, you'll know that the really good players don't care as much about the ball that they're sinking as they do about the ball that they're leaving on the table. And because you need the next shot. And that, I think, is a really valuable way to sort of think about the totality of your career. Yeah, in any given 3-month period, you may say, I'm drowning, private practice is just not for me, I'm going to give Carolyn a call. Sorry. But if you're looking at sort of your career in somewhat of a longer time frame, even if it's 2 years or 3 years, and if your end game is, okay, I do want to go to private practice one day because I'm really interested in just having one client and getting to intimately know a particular business, that's fine. You know, I think all of us recognize that there are going to be people who leave these types of corridors for other opportunities. I only feel badly if I perceive that people are doing it for the wrong reasons. If you're looking at it over sort of a 2-year stretch, maybe that 3-month hellish closing that you were working on is the best learning experience that you've ever had. maybe you need to take a step back and think about it in a larger context in order for you to sort of appreciate what rewards are coming from those stresses when you're in the weeds.
The only thing I'd add quickly to that is having been in a previous life a litigator for 10 years and then moving to a quasi-governmental role for 6 years. It's tough being a working woman, whether it's a 9-to-5 job or a 9-to-9 job. So I think you just have to give yourself over to that. That doesn't matter where you are right now, where you're working. Trying to do it all is tough, and it doesn't matter really where you're doing it. If you're a working woman, it's hard.
It's still kind of fun. Occasionally. It's hard, but
Well,
it's not
you know what, it goes back to, I can't remember if it was Mary or Joe's point, I think Joe's point that it's important to be working with people you like, doing what you like.
Yeah.
Because in the quasi-government job I was in, even though it was 9-to-5, I didn't like the institution and some of the people were a little iffy, and that was the most stressful job I've ever had, even though the hours were very predictable and short. So you make your choice based on the environment, but you're right, you can have fun and that makes a long work day worthwhile.